Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Mike Tanoff. I became hooked on Martin Gardner in the 6th grade, and really my goal this morning is just to thank Martin for something that has affected me for most of my life. Oh, by the way, quick public service announcement. For those of you who are United States citizens, your tax returns are not due today. They're not due until Tuesday. This was the third collection of Martin's columns from Scientific American, and it was the third Martin Gardner book that I owned. And one of the chapters in here, chapter 11, was Mr. Apollinax Visits New York. This was a fictional T.S. Eliot character that Martin weaved into some mathematical tales. And there's a discussion between an NYU graduate student, Nancy, and Mr. Apollinax. That silver ring on your finger, Mr. Apollinax, isn't it a Mobius strip? He removed the ring and handed it to her. Yes, it was made by an artist friend of mine who has a jewelry shop on the left bank in Paris. That's crazy, the girl said as she handed back the ring. Aren't you afraid it will twist around your finger and disappear? So when I first read this, I said to myself, how cool to have a Mobius strip ring. And I didn't wear rings when I was a kid or a teenager, but finally when it was time to get married, I thought, wow, we're gonna do this. And amazingly, my wife, Diane, or my wife-to-be, said, yeah, great idea. So we found a jeweler. We were living in New Haven at the time, found a jeweler who did a really fine job of putting some rings together. And my photography isn't the best, but this is what our rings look like. The jeweler did a great job because the ring has a half twist in it, but every part near the finger is smooth and round, so it's not like there's an edge going into the finger. Here's another view of what my wedding ring looks like from the top. So the one on the left on the bottom picture is my wife Diane's, and the other one is mine. So that was pretty cool, but the question was, what else could we do? What else could we do for this wedding ring? So going back to Martin Gardner, now this is what I always reckoned as his fourth book, his fourth collection of columns, although I believe his first Dr. Matrix book came out before this, so you could consider this his fifth book. And chapter 3 was on E, the base of Neperian logarithms. And there was a formula in there that I saw for the first time. This formula, e to the I pi plus 1 equals 0. And I was probably in 7th or 8th grade at the time. It was like, okay, yeah, this is really cool. I don't get it. And in fact, what Martin wrote about this was, we can only reproduce it and not stop to inquire into its implications. It appeals equally to the mystic, the scientist, the philosopher, the mathematician. And then he went on to say that it is surely true, it is absolutely paradoxical. We cannot understand it, and we don't know what it means, but we have proved it, and therefore we know it must be the truth. So I said to myself, how can I incorporate this into my wedding ring? This is so cool. It's been with me for a long time, 7th grade, 8th grade, whatever. So I started thinking about how I can incorporate this. By the way, I think that's the ellipse that was missing from Andrew Weil's paper on elliptic curves. So, even if we don't understand it, we know that if we square something, it's like multiplying we just multiply the two exponents together, and so e to the 2i pi is equal to 1. Yeah, 1 is good. That's a good number to work with. So what else could I do? Well, something else I learned from Martin Gardner was how to sum infinite series. More specifically, that the sum of 1 over 2 to the n equals 1. So it's n equals 1 to infinity. And so if I add both of those together, you get 2 naturally. So that's a complicated way. No, that's a cool way of saying that 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, well, we're getting married. So when you get married, 1 plus 1 really equals 1. And that's what we have inscribed on the inside of our wedding rings. See, I was wondering when I said that if I was going to get some awws, or if, it was going to be throw the old fruit at the bald guy who's giving the talk. So thank you for that response. Anyway, again, the pictures aren't the greatest, but you can see the inside of the wedding ring. There's the e to the 2i pi, and there's a plus sign after it. And then in the bottom, you can see plus the sum of n equals 1 to infinity of 1 over 2 to the n equals 1. And so again, I have Martin Gardner to thank for this, so thank you, Martin. I do want to mention that I did once twist the ring, and my finger disappeared, and it was really, really difficult to make it reappear, so I'm not going to demo that for you today. But anyway, thank you to all the attendees.